How one lie destroyed an entire town. Marlow Ridge was the kind of town where summer smelled like fresh-cut grass and old secrets. It nestled quietly between the hills, with weathered barns, winding roads, and a main street lined with faded brick storefronts. People waved to each other. Kids rode their bikes until the streetlights flickered on. Nothing ever changed, and that's exactly how they liked it. Until the stranger came. He was first seen near the gas station, standing motionless beside the propane tanks, wearing a tattered gray hoodie and carrying a green army-style backpack. Nobody knew his name. He didn't buy anything. He didn't ask for directions. But he left behind 5 unforgettable words. There's fire beneath this town. He said it to no one in particular, staring down at the cracked pavement like he could see something crawling just beneath it. Then he turned and walked down Route 6, disappearing into the fog that rose from the trees like smoke. The next night, the Finch family's barn went up in flames. Locals called it coincidence. The fire chief blamed faulty wiring. But there were no wires in that barn. No gasoline, no lightning, no plausible reason. Just the smell of burnt wood and fear. 3 days later, letters began showing up in mailboxes. Handwritten, no return address, just a red wax seal in the shape of a flame. They weren't signed. Each letter accused someone. May, who owned the diner, was accused of hiding her brother's criminal record to keep the business open. Deputy Harmon's letter said he falsified evidence in a 2003 arson case. Even Father Doyle received one. A chilling line that read, "Confession doesn't cleanse if the truth is buried." At first, people thought it was a prank. But then someone leaked the contents to a local blog. The accusations spread like wildfire, taking root in whispers and backroom conversations. It didn't matter whether they were true. Suspicion was enough. A week later, May closed her diner. She stopped answering her door. Deputy Harmon left a resignation letter taped to the courthouse gate. Father Doyle's church pews went empty. No one had ever proven the claims. But in Marlow Ridge, truth didn't need proof. Only rumor. And someone was feeding that rumor carefully, like dry timber laid down piece by piece. The town turned inward. Friendships shattered. Families argued behind drawn curtains. People watched each other too closely. Their movements, their mail, their phones. The mayor tried to calm things down with a televised address. But halfway through, someone threw a brick through the window behind him. On the brick, a note was tied. "One lie is all it takes." It was then that the local newspaper ran a story connecting all the accused, not by profession or bloodline, but by an event long buried, the 1994 quarry incident, a name that had all but vanished. In '94, a teenage boy named Eli Mercer had disappeared near the old mining quarry. The official report said he'd run away. Some said he fell. Others whispered about a party gone wrong. The only people who really knew were the ones now being accused, May, Harmon, Doyle, and 3 others who had been there that night. The fire at the Finch barn? Close to the quarry's southern edge. The accusations? All against people who had been present or involved in the original cover-up. The town began to rot. Not from the outside, but from the inside. One by one, neighbors stopped speaking. Shops closed. People moved away. The streets grew silent. Marlow Ridge, once proud and peaceful, became haunted by its own reflection. A 19-year-old named Jonah Harker, a quiet, autistic boy who had grown up hearing the legends of Eli Mercer, became obsessed with the letters. He was one of the few who stayed curious instead of afraid. While exploring the abandoned quarry, Jonah found something lodged in the rocks. A rusted lockbox, half buried, with the same red flame seal carved into the lid. Inside were 5 cassette tapes, each labeled with a date from 1994. Jonah brought the tapes to the last person he trusted. His grandmother, Ruth. She had lived in Marlow Ridge her entire life and had never spoken of the quarry incident, until that night. She played the first tape. What they heard was Eli Mercer's voice. Frantic, crying, confessing that he had witnessed something he was told never to repeat. Something involving a secret vigilante act carried out by the 6 teens who thought they were cleaning up the town. But Eli hadn't kept quiet, and someone had made sure he never spoke again. The final tape ended with Eli pleading, If this ever gets out, they'll burn this whole place down to bury me again. Word spread fast. But not through media or blogs, through whispers, through late-night visits and trembling hands passing the cassette copies under porches and across church pews. It became clear, Eli hadn't just died. He had been silenced. And the lie wasn't what happened to him. The lie was what came after. The pact made by those 6 teens, now grown, to tell the town he had run away. A decision born out of fear, maybe even guilt. But it was that single lie, the choice to bury the truth, that had cursed the town. The stranger who had arrived weeks earlier? His name was Mason Mercer, Eli's nephew. He had spent years tracking down the truth, gathering old photos, audio, and diary entries. He left the letters. He started the fire at the barn, but only to expose where Eli's personal belongings had been buried. He hadn't wanted to destroy the town. He wanted to free it. But by the time the truth was known, it was too late. Mason left Marlow Ridge the same way he came, quietly. No press, no vengeance. Just the sound of his boots crunching through the leaves, his backpack a little lighter. The town didn't recover. Too many wounds, too many ghosts. But in the years that followed, something strange happened. Children began placing small stones near the quarry, each marked with initials, memories, or apologies. People stopped pretending the past didn't matter. The truth, though painful, had been set loose, and the weight of one boy's silenced voice began to echo louder than the lie that buried him.